Have you ever noticed how your past waits in the shadows? Quiet, patient, almost forgotten, until someone decides to drag it back into the light. You're living your life, at peace, finally moving forward. You've healed, grown, rebuilt yourself. Then one day, someone walks in. Someone who knew you before you changed. And with a single sentence, they slice open old wounds. Remember that? That's who you were. And suddenly, all that calm starts to shake. Your chest tightens. Not because the past has returned, but because you realize someone is using it against you. That's the real betrayal. Not what happened back then, but how someone now tries to chain you to it. Most people react. We explain. We defend. We start saying, "That's not me anymore." But the more we justify, the more power we hand over. We give them control of our emotions. The Stoic doesn't do that. The Stoic remains calm, grounded, unshakable. Because the Stoic knows, the past is not a prison, it's training. When someone brings up your past to hurt you, remember these 3 Stoic responses. 3 sentences that end the manipulation before it begins. First, yes, that happened. Most people run from their past. They deny it. They bury it. But denial keeps you chained. Acceptance, that's freedom. When someone says, "I remember when you failed," or "Didn't you mess that up once?" you look them in the eye and simply say, "Yes, that happened." No excuses, no defense, just peace. Because that single line does something powerful. It takes away their weapon. They wanted shame. You gave them serenity. They wanted control. You gave them calm. People who use your past to hurt you aren't searching for truth. They're searching for your reaction. When you give them none, they lose everything. An old friend reminds you how you got fired years ago for a foolish mistake. You smile and say, "Yes, and I learned something priceless from it." In that moment, the blade they used against you turns to dust. Seneca once wrote, "There is nothing more noble than standing before your own faults and saying, 'Yes, I did that, and I learned.'" When you own your past, no one else can weaponize it. Second response, "I've learned from it." This is how you turn pain into power. When you say, "I've learned," you shift the focus from shame to strength, from who you were to who you've become. The ones who mock your past only see the version of you that once fell. They have no idea how much fire it took for you to rise. Think of it like this. A sword is useless until it's been through the flame. Every mistake, every heartbreak, every failure, they forged you. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in a cell, and when he came out, he said, "I learned that true freedom begins within." So when someone says, "You failed in love, how can you talk about it now?" you answer calmly, "Because I've been broken. I know what love isn't. That's why I understand what it truly is." That's not defense. That's wisdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Every obstacle is an opportunity to practice virtue." Your past doesn't define you, it refines you. Now the third response, the one that silences every manipulator. Why are you bringing this up now? You don't need anger, you don't need sarcasm, just calm curiosity. Because the moment you ask why, you flip the power. The spotlight turns away from you and straight onto them. They have to face their own motive. Were they truly being sincere, or were they trying to control you? Epictetus said, "The one who harms others is already in pain." They bring up your past not because they care, but because they can't face their own present. So when you calmly ask, "Why are you bringing this up now?" you've already won. You've pulled their mask off without ever raising your voice. Your composure becomes armor. Your silence becomes strength. The Stoic knows. Silence isn't weakness, it's mastery. Seneca once said, "The one who angers you, conquers you." Every time you react emotionally, you hand away your peace. You might win the argument, but you lose your stillness. And in this world, where everyone's shouting, explaining, proving, the one who stays silent becomes the one who truly holds control. Someone once told me, "You never react. That makes people afraid of you." I smiled and said, "I don't want them to fear me. I just want peace within myself. Because once you understand that, you see, no one can drag you into the mud unless you step down willingly. Some people fear what others think. But let me ask, if they think wrong of you, does that change who you truly are? Epictetus said, if someone calls you a donkey, do you check a mirror? Of course not. Because you know yourself. That's freedom, to no longer need the world's approval. So if they bring up your mistakes, smile. If they twist your past, stay silent. If they demand a reaction, give them your calm. You owe no explanation for the chapters you've already healed from. Marcus Aurelius wrote, when someone acts wrongly, it's because they don't know what is right. Teach them through your behavior, not your words. Sometimes maturity itself is the loudest reply. We've all been versions of ourselves we're not proud of. But without those versions, we wouldn't be who we are today. You were once lost, but that's how you learned direction. You were once weak, but that's how you built strength. You were once broken, but that's how you found light. A man who once fell can teach others how to rise. A heart that once hurt can teach others how to heal. That's the Stoic way, never erasing the past, only transforming it. People will try to pull you down with your history, not because you're weak, but because your growth reminds them of what they never faced. When you rise, you become a mirror, and not everyone likes their reflection. They don't attack you because you're broken. They attack because you've healed, because your peace threatens their chaos. So remember these 3 truths. Acknowledge your past without shame. Turn your mistakes into lessons, not life sentences. Ask questions instead of reacting. That's how a Stoic wins, not through noise but through dignity. You don't need to fight to prove you've changed. The ones who truly see you don't need an explanation. The ones who refuse, no explanation will ever be enough. And one day when someone brings up your past again, you'll just smile. Not in pride, not in pain, but in peace. Because you'll finally know, I am not what happened to me. I am how I rose from it. That's true freedom. Not forgetting the past, but standing tall even when it's remembered. Your past doesn't define you. How you face it does. And if someone tries to drag you back into an old chapter, smile and say, thank you. But I've already finished that part of my story. Then walk away, calm, steady, untouchable, like a true Stoic. If this message speaks to you, share it. Let it reach someone still trapped in their past. And if you're walking your own Stoic path, subscribe to Mind Hack Stoic. Join this community of calm minds and unbreakable spirits. And write this in the comments as your reminder today. I've closed that chapter. My story moves forward.